He hadn't cried in years, but tonight, in the middle of a cold, bright hospital corridor, Daniel Hayes broke. He stood hunched beside the emergency room doors, trembling hands pressed to his face, the sickening smell of antiseptic burning into every memory he wished he could erase. His 8-year-old daughter, Lily, was somewhere behind those doors, small, terrified, fighting to breathe after a sudden asthma attack that spiraled far beyond his control. And he, a single father doing everything he could with nearly nothing, found himself collapsing under the weight of fear. His phone battery was dead. His ex-wife hadn't answered his calls in months. No family, no support, just a father alone, praying that his child would live. Before we continue, if you believe that kindness and second chances still matter in this world, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts. Daniel slid down the wall until he was sitting on the cold floor, elbows on his knees, chest heaving. His mind ran through every moment he wished he could read you, every overtime shift that kept him away from Lily's bedtime stories, every bill he struggled to pay, every time he told himself he was doing enough, even when he knew he wasn't. Being a single dad had never been easy, but tonight it felt impossible. He pressed his shaking hands together, whispering a plea to any force that might be listening. "Please don't take her from me. She's all I have." The hallway bustled around him, doctors rushing, machines beeping, nurses calling out instructions, but none of it touched him. He felt invisible, just another worried parent among many. Minutes stretched painfully into an hour. Every time the ER doors swung open, his heart leapt, only to crash again when no one called his name. And then, as another wave of exhaustion washed over him, someone quietly sat down beside him, not close enough to intrude, but close enough to be felt. Daniel didn't look up at first. He assumed it was another worried parent, another soul drowning in fear. But then he heard a soft, warm voice, steady, calm, and strangely comforting. "Breathe," the woman said gently. "It's okay to breathe." For the first time in hours, Daniel lifted his eyes. Sitting beside him was a woman dressed in a long black coat, elegant yet understated. Her silver hair framed a face marked not by age, but by stories: grief, resilience, loss, survival. She looked familiar, almost hauntingly so, though he couldn't place her. She gave him a small, patient smile, as if she had sat beside dozens of broken people before him. "You look like someone who carries too much alone," she said softly. And no one should. Daniel swallowed hard, eyes stinging. "My daughter," he whispered, "she's in there." She couldn't breathe. I didn't know what to do." The woman nodded, her expression warm and deeply empathetic. "You did exactly what you had to do. You got her here. That matters." Something about the way she spoke, the calm certainty, the gentle authority, pulled the tension from his chest. She wasn't trying to fix his pain or push it away. She was simply there, present, and somehow that presence steadied him. Minutes passed, then a nurse hurried toward them. Daniel stood so fast he nearly stumbled, but the woman's hand gently steadied his arm before he rushed to listen. "She's stable," the nurse said with a reassuring smile. "She's asking for you." A sob of pure relief burst from Daniel's throat. His knees nearly buckled. He covered his mouth as tears streamed down his face. And before he could collapse under the force of it, the woman beside him stepped close and said the words that would stay with him forever. "You're not failing," she said. "You're fighting, and she's lucky to have a father who doesn't give up." He froze, stunned by the unexpected compassion. No one had said anything like that to him in years. The world had labeled him a struggling single dad, a man barely holding it together. But she saw something else, something he had forgotten he still possessed. "Thank you," he whispered, voice cracking. The woman nodded once. "Go to her." Daniel moved quickly toward the ER doors, but just before he went in, he turned back, to thank the stranger again, to ask her name, anything. But she was no longer sitting there. Instead, A nurse passing by saw his confusion and said quietly, "If you're looking for Mrs. Sterling, she comes here sometimes, usually when someone's alone." "Mrs. Sterling?" Daniel asked. The nurse nodded. "Evelyn Sterling, widow of Thomas Sterling, the billionaire philanthropist, lost her husband and son almost 10 years ago in an accident. She knows what fear feels like. She never really stopped trying to ease it for others." Daniel stood still, heartbeat slowing as the truth settled in. A billionaire widow had sat beside him, not in a private wing, not behind tinted glass or guarded hallways, right there on the cold floor of the ER, with a broken father who had nothing to offer her, and she had spoken to him like he mattered. Hours later, Lily was resting peacefully, her breathing steady, her little hand wrapped tightly around her father's. When she finally opened her eyes, the first thing she whispered was, "Daddy, you didn't leave, right?" "Never," he said, kissing her forehead. "Not for a moment." As dawn crept through the window, casting soft gold light on the hospital room, Daniel thought about the woman who had appeared at his lowest moment. A stranger whose presence felt like a lifeline. Her words echoed through his mind, lifting something inside him he didn't know could rise again. "You're not failing, you're fighting." He knew then that he would carry her kindness forward to others, to Lily, to himself. For the first time in a long time, he didn't feel alone. And if this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your engagement helps us bring more real, moving stories to people who need them.